Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank you all for being here today. One of the biggest concerns I have with this whole discussion on AI is a failure to admit, first and foremost, that it does appear that in the next 10 years that the way that we have grown up and know life with AI will be forever changing. With that being said, there are a few differences that I think most people acknowledge, in that AI lacks a few things, one being a soul, also empathy, and we are not gods or God, and so I think that we're playing a dangerous game, especially moving into a future that's simply unknown right now, especially if we do not essentially develop the first AI super weapon, essentially that's what this is, whoever does will essentially control the world. And I think that that's a very serious topic that needs to be discussed right now. But specifically to transhumanism and coupling of AI with humanity, what regulatory frameworks can be established to ensure AI-driven transhumanist technologies like brain-computer interfaces prioritize human safety and consent? I'm opening this up to everyone on the panel. I have a few questions, so I'd like to get through this, so just please limit your responses. Mr. B, if you want to go first, or down there, either or.
I'll just briefly say, Congresswoman, that there's been a lot of work done on AI governance by multiple bodies and entities. I just want to cite something that actually came from the Biden administration on this, about the applicability of so many existing laws and regulations to AI. And their leading regulators for 4 large agencies said before leaving office that basically we have the ability to enforce the respective laws and regulations to promote responsible innovation in automated systems, and that basically AI does not get an exemption from civil rights laws, from consumer protections, unfair and deceptive practices, fraud, so on and so forth. So we have a lot of policies that do regulate many of the fears you're raising.
Is there the possibility of regulation, though, that exists that would enable transhumanist enhancements that exacerbate social inequalities, or basically financial inequalities, creating an elite class of enhanced individuals? I bring that up because we're talking about low-level jobs potentially being removed from the workforce, people that have and can afford the ability of, for example, implementing or implanting chips, given access to unknown amounts of knowledge, and essentially creating the first superhuman. This is a real concern. I know it might come across as funny to other people, but I am genuinely concerned about this. From a bipartisan perspective here, we're talking about humanity versus machine. Hopefully, in a flowery world, we would have it set up to where it could improve society for the best. But I'm also in politics, and I have a very, unfortunately, sometimes negative perspective on the world, because I've seen the worst of humanity in this job.
So science fiction speaks of this a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people who think about this notion of haves and have-nots, and how technology will exacerbate that. And this can depend on how it's available and how much money it costs and who can get it. Nina Farahay writes a lot about AI and brain interfaces and what we can do to protect humanity in that world. So I do recommend talking to her. She's the smartest person I know on that particular question.
Okay, also, what role can AI itself play in monitoring and mitigating risks associated with transhumanist technologies, such as detecting biases in enhancement distribution?
I think a lot of the conversation so far, since ChatGPT came out, is about foundation models and how they operate and how they hallucinate and some of the shortcomings of them and the risks with them. But a lot of these problems can be overcome at the application layer. And Ms. Miller and I represent companies who build applications on top of many models. And so if you think about that framework, what you understand then is the responsibility of some of these outcomes, the responsibility of some of these behaviors isn't just left to the model, it's left to the vendor and the developer
So how you train
of how you train it, how you package it, how you check for issues and guardrails and all of that.
So real quick, I have one more question, just real quick, yes or no. Would either or any of you be in favor of the U.S. government, through either the DIA, NSA, all agencies involved, Pentagon, even creating a super AI, I would maybe term it guardian AI, to actually train up based on our principles to defend the United States and potentially world against maybe a more nefarious actor like China creating the same super weapon, because AI can only fight AI. I think you guys would all agree with that, in an effort to defend the home front.
I think we can't do that yet.
Not yet, but maybe in the future.
Maybe in the future.
Okay.
Maybe, but I need more about the details about what that means, because there's a lot to unpack there.
Unqualified, probably, to weigh in on that one.
I'm supportive of any sort of sovereign AI that we think
Sovereign
makes sense.
AI would be a good name.
I think government alone cannot do it. I think public-private partnership should be required in this case because otherwise we will not be able to confront China.
Thank you.